Choosing my thesis always seemed like a daunting task. Professors encouraged us as freshmen to start workshopping ideas when the project was still years away. It was a beast looming in the distance, and I did not know how to begin conquering it. My project needed to align with my passions. Originally, I wanted to make a 2D animated short. However, by speaking to my professors about the reality of work needed for that, I realized that my strongest skills were in pre-production. So I pivoted back to my core interests, character design and narrative building. I asked myself how to best combine design and motion. Reflecting on my storyboarding curriculum, I realized my love for design was rooted in storytelling. Storytelling is so important to me because it is an avenue to make the impossible tangible. So I decided to fully develop a board I had made in storyboarding class and create the production work for it. This would fill my portfolio, making my thesis a testament to my storyboarding and visual development abilities. You could say, while searching for something I wanted, I stumbled across Golden, which was exactly what I needed. My personal view focused on practical application and emotional morals. I wanted to improve my creative process and also create a clear story arc. It's difficult for me to connect with characters who experience little growth, and I also dislike an unfulfilling ending due to the unhappy feeling it gives me. So my main priorities became character growth with a happy ending. My thesis follows two young brothers, Jacob and Will, challenged by arguments and power when playing pretend. I focused on how greed can tear apart even the closest relationships because this was often a challenge for my brother and me growing up. This reflects my point that choices form character. Tonally, it ended up being similar to my inspiration of Aesop's fable of the golden goose in the challenge of greed, and Bebop Symphony in the power struggle and optimistic ending. When the boys give their crowns away, it speaks to the theme of choosing family over power. The concept of having imaginary and realistic settings overlap comes from personal experience. My brother and I would often change game rules to fit us in the moment, which often ended up in fits of crying and running to mom. I wanted to keep this changing rules concept, but without dialogue, the clarity wasn't as strong. An upperclassmate suggested shifting that action onto a physical object, the egg. To further improve my craft, I also changed the color palettes and music when the boys enter their imaginary world. The second challenge was the climax, as it originally lacked reason. Another classmate suggested having the mom as a prominent character, making the stakes higher. But to me, it seemed like the only way to include her was for her to get hurt. But I didn't want this story to be gory and dark. I wanted high stakes, but nothing life-threatening. To solve this, I focused on the boys' childlike behavior, when the mundane could be life-altering. With this perspective shift, I let the mom get hurt amongst the squabble, but nothing that serious, just something that would warrant a consequence. This solved the problem of reason. My biggest research elements were Aesop's fable The Golden Goose, Bebop Symphony from SFAD, and my own childhood memories. The Golden Goose tale was such an easy incorporation, since I grew up on fairy tales and I wanted my characters to exhibit that element of my life. I specifically enjoyed the power struggle between the two kids in Bebop Symphony and the whimsical nature of the characters. I also played pretend way into my adult life, and I wanted to create something that somehow showcased that feeling. From a historical framework, you could say that Golden is a fairy tale retelling. However, I wanted to approach this as a reimagining rather than a retelling of a story that has already been told. The two boys in Golden are named after the Brothers Grimm, which was another way I incorporated the fairy tale, though a different version, into my story. The inspiration from Bebop Symphony really shines through Golden. When I first toured the halls of Brock my senior year of high school, the production art that hangs through the hall caught my eye immediately because it tugged on what I was most passionate about. Every day since, I passed the work on my walk to class, and the short played on the TV in the lobby. That story has been a constant inspiration, forced but welcomed, because it was in a Disney-like style that I gravitate towards, and the boys were young like mine, and they had similar whimsy to Jacob and Will. My thesis completes my portfolio by showcasing my production-ready project for both visual development and storyboarding. By showcasing adult, child, and animal designs, I've shown the necessary areas for a character designer role. The 2.5-minute storyboard shows that I can handle pacing, dialogue, and clear character action necessary for a storyboard artist role. I'm currently applying to studios that are centered around character-driven storytelling, including Disney Television Animation, DreamWorks, and Glitch Productions. To further expand my portfolio, I will continue making character sheets and prop designs to keep my work well-rounded for the industry. I am also going to continue to compare my work to my favorite artists, such as Jin Kim and Loish, to identify areas where I can hone my own skills. While I don't currently plan on expanding Golden, the process has refined my illustration and storyboarding process, allowing me to approach my next project with higher professionalism.